Bible in a Year Live, Chronological Project, Week 8, Day 7, Complete Jewish Bible. Therefore, when you sell your property, you must include the right of redemption. That is, if one of you becomes poor and sells some of his property, his next of kin can come and buy back what his relative sold. If the seller has no one to redeem it, but becomes rich enough to redeem it himself, he will calculate the number of years the land was sold for, refund the excess to its buyer, and return to his property. If he hasn't sufficient means to get it back himself, then what he sold will remain in the hands of the buyer until the year of Yovel. In the Yovel, the buyer will vacate it and the seller return to his property. If someone sells a dwelling in a walled city, he has 1 year after the date of sale in which to redeem it. For a full year, he will have the right of redemption. But if he has not redeemed the dwelling in the walled city within the year, then title in perpetuity passes to the buyer through all his generations. It will not revert in the Yovel. However, houses in villages not surrounded by walls are to be dealt with like the fields in the countryside. They may be redeemed before the Yovel, and they revert in the Yovel. Concerning the cities of Levium, the houses in the cities they possess, the Levium are to have a permanent right of redemption. If someone purchases a house from one of the Levium, then the house he sold in the city where he owns property will still revert to him in the Yovel, because the houses in the city of the Levium are their tribe's possession among the people of Israel. The fields in the open land around their cities may not be sold, because that is their permanent possession. If a member of your people has become poor so that he can't support himself among you, you are to assist him as you would a foreigner or a temporary resident, so that he can continue living with you. Do not charge him interest or otherwise profit from him, but fear your God, so that your brother can continue living with you. Do not take interest when you loan him money, or take a profit when you sell him food. I am Adonai your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt in order to give you the land of Canaan, and be your God. If a member of your people has become poor among you and sells himself to you, do not make him do the work of a slave. Rather, you are to treat him like an employee or a tenant. He will work for you until the year of Yovel. Then he will leave you, he and his children with him, and return to his own family and regain possession of his ancestral land. For they are my slaves, whom I brought out of the land of Egypt. Therefore they are not to be sold as slaves. Do not treat him harshly, but fear your God. Concerning the men and women you may have as slaves, you are to buy men and women slaves from the nations surrounding you. You may also buy the children of foreigners living with you and members of their families born in your land. You may own these. You may also bequeath them to your children to own. For these groups, you may take your slaves forever. But as far as your brothers, the people of Israel, are concerned, you are not to treat each other harshly. If a foreigner living with you has grown rich and a member of your people has become poor and sells himself to this foreigner living with you or to a member of the foreigner's family, he may be redeemed after he has been sold. One of his brothers may redeem him, or his uncle's son may redeem him, or any near relative of his may redeem him, or if he becomes rich, he may redeem himself. He will calculate with the person who bought him the time from the year he sold himself to him to the year of Yovel. The amount to be paid will be according to the number of years and his time at an employee's wage. If many years remain, according to them will he refund the amount for his redemption from the amount he was bought for. If there remain only a few years until the year of Yovel, then he will calculate with him. According to his years will he refund the amount for his redemption. He will be like a worker hired year by year. You will see to it that he is not treated harshly. If he has not been redeemed by any of these procedures, nevertheless he will be free in the year of Yovel, he and his children with him. For to me the people of Israel are slaves. They are my slaves, whom I brought out of the land of Egypt. I am Adonai your God. You are not to make yourselves any idols, erect a carved statue or a standing stone, or place any carved stone anywhere in your land in order to bow down to it. I am Adonai your God. Keep my Shabbats and revere my sanctuary. I am Adonai. If you live by my regulations, observe my mitzvah, and obey them, then I will provide the rain you need in its season. The land will yield its produce, and the trees in the field will yield their fruit. Your threshing time will extend until the grape harvest, and your grape harvesting will extend until the time for sowing seed. You will eat as much food as you want and live securely in your land. I will give shalom in the land. You will lie down to sleep unafraid of anyone. I will rid the land of wild animals. The sword will not go through your land. You will pursue your enemies, and they will fall before your sword. 5 of you will chase 100, and 100 of you will chase 10,000. Your enemies will fall before your sword. I will turn towards you, make you productive, increase your numbers, and uphold my covenant with you. You will eat all you want from last year's harvest, and throw out what remains of the old to make room for the new. I will put my tabernacle among you. I will not reject you, but I will walk among you and be your God, and you will be my people. I am Adonai your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, so that you would not be their slaves. I have broken the bars of your yoke, so that you can walk upright. But if you will not listen to me and obey all these mitzvot, if you loathe my regulations and reject my rulings, in order not to obey all my mitzvahs, but cancel my covenant, then I, for my part, will do this to you. I will bring terror upon you, wasting disease and chronic fever, to dim your sight and sap your strength. You will sow your seed for nothing, because your enemies will eat the crops. I will set my face against you. Your enemies will defeat you. Those who hate you will hound you, and you will flee when no one is pursuing you. If these things don't make you listen to me, then I will discipline you 7 times over for your sins. I will break the pride you have in your own power. I will make your sky like iron, your soul like bronze. You will spend your strength in vain, because the land will not yield its produce, or the trees in the field their fruit. Yes, if you go against me and don't listen to me, I will increase your calamities 7-fold, according to your sins. I will send wild animals among you. They will rob you of your children, destroy your livestock, and reduce your numbers until your roads are deserted. If, in spite of all this, you refuse your correction and still go against me, then I too will go against you. And I, yes, I, will strike you 7 times over for your sins. I will bring a sword against you, which will execute the vengeance of the covenant. You will be huddled inside your cities. I will send sickness among you, and you will be handed over to the power of the enemy. I will cut off your supply of bread, so that 10 women will bake your bread in one oven and dole out your bread by weight, and you will eat but not be satisfied. And if for all this you still will not listen to me, but go against me, then I will go against you fiercely, and I also will chastise you yet 7 times more for your sins. You will eat the flesh of your own sons. You will eat the flesh of your own daughters. I will destroy your high places, cut down your pillars for sun worship, and throw your carcasses on the carcasses of your idols, and I will detest you. I will lay waste to your cities and make your sanctuaries desolate, so as not to smell your fragrant aromas. I will desolate the land, so that your enemies living in it will be astounded by it. You I will disperse among the nations, and I will draw out the sword in pursuit after you. Your land will be a desolation, and your cities a wasteland. Then, at last, the land will pay its Shabbats. As long as it lies desolate, and you are in the lands of your enemies, the land will rest and be repaid its Shabbats. Yes, as long as it lies desolate, it will have rest. The rest it did not have during your Shabbats when you lived there. As for those of you who are left, I will fill your hearts with anxiety in the lands of your enemies. The sound of a driven leaf will frighten them, so that they will flee as one flees from the sword, and fall when no one is pursuing. Yes, with no one pursuing, they will stumble over each other as if fleeing the sword. You will have no power to stand before your enemies, and among the nations you will perish. The land of your enemies will devour you. Those of you who remain will pine away in the lands of your enemies from guilt over your misdeeds and those of your ancestors. Then they will confess their misdeeds and those of their ancestors which they committed against me in their rebellion. They will admit that they went against me. At that time I will be going against them, bringing them into the lands of their enemies. But if their uncircumcised hearts will grow humble, and they are paid the punishment for their misdeeds, then I will remember my covenant with Yaakov, also my covenant with Isaac, and my covenant with Avram, and I will remember the land. For the land will lie abandoned without them, and it will be paid its Shabbats while it lies desolate without them, and they will be paid the punishment for their misdeeds, because they rejected my rulings and loathed my regulations. Yet, in spite of all that, I will not reject them when they are in the lands of their enemies, nor will I loathe them to the point of utterly destroying them, and thus break my covenant with them, because I am Adonai their God. Rather, for their sakes, I remember the covenant of their ancestors, whom I brought out of the land of Egypt, with the nations watching, so that I might be their God. I am Adonai. These are the laws, rulings, and teachings that Adonai himself gave to the people of Israel on Mount Sinai through Moshe.